there's a particular booth at market that we always make sure, but it literally pains me to walk in because there's so much, and I know it's going to take so much time, but it's a moneymaker for us. I will say,
Boutique hustle.
hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode, What You're Really Saying in the Hidden Language Between Buyers and Brands. I am Hanna Lavergne, and we are the Boutique Hustle Unzipped, and this is my beautiful co-host, Sonia.
Good
Sonia,
morning.
how's it going this morning?
Good. We're having a gloomy day and cool morning for a change. Thank God. It was in the hundreds here all last week.
Wow, that's crazy
Yeah.
for California. I feel like we are totally living like opposite every time we talk about the weather. Like you're having what should be in Louisiana, I'm having California weather. So go me.
Yeah. So there's a language happening at market that nobody teaches you. Buyers think they're clear, vendors think they're hearing your feedback, but most of the time we're completely missing each other and it costs both sides money. When you say,
100%. And today we're translating that. What you say, what you mean, and what the other is actually hearing. That is the difference between it all.
well, because I'm just looking doesn't necessarily mean what you think. And that's too expensive definitely doesn't mean what you think either.
Yeah, and if you get that wrong, I really believe that you're either leaving money on the table or you're completely losing your identity as a brand.
So did you know that studies show that between 60 and 80% of people who say that are still open to buying?
So crazy because that's when people really start kind of backing off, right?
Exactly. When I say I don't mean no, I mean don't pressure me. I just need a minute. I'm like, just give me some space.
Yeah, I feel the same about that. I mean, I'm actually like very engaged, but I'm really just deciding if I like want to go deeper, but sometimes I just need just a little minute to adapt to the space that I just walked into.
Yeah, and if a vendor walks away from me at that point, I think he's just lost an opportunity.
Yeah, true. And I mean, I didn't say no, I just kind of said not yet.
Did you?
Basically.
When would you say it's a hard no?
Feel like once I'm looking and really observing what that vendor has in the area and in their space, I'm looking at colors and prints. Sometimes I'll look at the price, but honestly, I don't even go straight into the price just yet. But things that catch my attention, mannequins typically catch my attention to even
Mhm.
go into the showroom, truthfully. And then the color palettes, is it a color palette that is the colors of the season that I'm actually looking for? We typically are already prepared for what colors that we're going to bring into our storefronts for the season. So that's always important. Going into the fall, I look for textures, something that's eye-catching that seems to be different. So those are things that kind of draw my attention probably the most, but always mannequins and the way that their presentation is as you're kind of scooting by their little space.
Okay, so let's talk about your prices are too high.
Yeah, well, let me say this clearly. When I say that, I'm almost never talking about the actual number, truthfully.
I think that's true. So again, I was doing some research for this and I was reading about statistics and all, just um, the psychology of buying. And actually, 70% of buying decisions are based on perceived value, not actual price, which
Hmm.
is makes
Love
sense.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Which just kind of means that if it feels worth it, I'll buy it. And if it doesn't, I won't.
Yeah, it's same price, different outcome. So you can have like a $98 what dress that feels overpriced and then another dress that feels like it's a deal. Like again, it goes back to perceived value.
Yeah, absolutely. And really the difference is how it looks, how it's styled, and how confident you feel selling it.
So when you say too expensive, I think what you're really saying is I don't either see the value, I'm not confident in selling it, or usually it doesn't excite me enough because when I'm excited about something, I feel like the price takes second place to everything else. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. And when the brands hear that, they start lowering their quality or chasing everyone's approval, and that truly is a problem.
Yeah, like, sometimes the truth is you just not the right brand for the boutique, and that's also okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I feel like if everyone can afford your brand, then you probably don't have one that's solid.
Anyway, so let's jump into the bestseller trap.
This is a real one for sure.
So I always talk this over with vendors, and I always talk about a when a brand hits a style that works and then they just repeat and repeat. I feel I get bored with the line.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that. I mean, at first it's like you get super excited, but then Lord day, by the third and fourth version, you start seeing it too many times. And I always say that I feel like the cycles become so repetitive. It kind of loses all your excitement to even go to market. But we get so pumped whenever we start seeing the new come out and the fresh product. That always excites me as a buyer for sure.
Again, in doing the research, I was reading and it says that retail data shows that too much repeating kills brand uniqueness. And as a buyer, doing this for as many years as I have, I can so attest to that.
Yeah, I hear you on that too. And I do feel like once it's like so predictable, it's really no longer a priority and truthfully no longer a demand even in the storefronts.
Like, are you saying when you're walking through market?
Yeah, once you kind of, seen it so many times, then the priority shifts. If you already kind of got that covered and it's just repetitive, then you're starting to look a different way because what happens is once it hits the storefront, your customer is feeling the exact same way if they already have that in their closet. So you do have to know when is enough enough. You can't be that predictable in what you're putting out there on the marketplace time and time again.
Right. And another thing I feel I run into is when a brand changes almost market to market. l- Let's just say you're excited about a new line you found, and a market or two later, you're like, what happened? They had so many cute things last time.
Yeah, that's true too. Then you kind of like forget who they are. Like you kind of don't know the brand in your mind enough because it changes too frequently.
Yeah, and if I don't know who you are, I don't know how you know who you are. I don't know how you fit in my store. I don't
True.
like you just don't get bought. The consistency builds trust, but like repeating without evolving kills excitement. So
Yes,
like I
absolutely.
get the bestseller things. I sure make money if it keeps selling, but it's that getting stuck with repeating those styles that it just kills the excitement of the brand. I'm sure I'm going to have a few people listen to this where we've had this conversations talking to you vendors. It just is getting harder and harder, it feels like, to get excited when you go to market because it's either a lot of the same, there hasn't been enough time to see anything new, and so you just I don't know, it feels uninspiring sometimes. It could feel exciting sometimes, but and I would say there's an equal amount of things that I get excited about at market with things that underwhelm me, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. There's market this week, and I feel very underwhelmed to even be there. To be quite honest with you, but
Oh, I
it
was
is
today,
it.
right? Starts?
Yeah, yeah. Dallas market's happening as we speak. But yes, I like for me to really want to go to all the markets, I need to see something new and fresh always. I do understand that the best sellers get you noticed, but your identity is what keeps you in business. So from my point of view, like if I'm going to a vendor that I know that their best sellers work for us. Their bestseller is not filling up my store. It's just what's getting the attention, getting you noticed so that your consumers will constantly come in, but they want us to have more options. There has to be a variable there. So I do feel like, yes, keep your best sellers, obviously, make your best seller rack. That is one rack that we go to first, but then also give us more, like give us more depth in what you're showing us that still is related to the brand that we know and love.
Yeah, it actually makes you oh, I say I should speak for myself. It actually makes me more confused. You see the same product, the same trends, and you just kinda lose clarity. I feel like I'm pretty in tune with what's happening out on the market, but when I start seeing the same thing over and over, I can't help myself but task a vendor like, What's new?
What's
What's
happening.
happening? What
Yeah,
are people buying? Because I'm confused. There's so much of what I
the
saw
same.
last month and the
Yeah,
previous month and before that.
yeah, so true. Very true.
And then there's this pressure that also, well, since we got into markets, and I think we touched on this before, that if you don't go to markets, I'm just missing something.
Yeah, absolutely not true. There's actually too many markets, and going
Would you
to every
say?
market does not make you a better buyer. I mean, I feel like there's too many out there. It's like you need to pick and choose and make the right decisions on what market's gonna fit your brand the best, and that goes for vendors too, yes, Sonia. Like, I feel like they don't have to show up at every market if it's not their clientele just to be, like, chasing it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you kinda have to know what stores are going to what market so that they're not wasting their money. It goes really both ways. I'm not gonna go to a high-end market because that's not gonna be my clientele. So, a lot of the vendors that are in downtown LA should also not hit up every New York show, right? Because that's not necessarily their buyers.
Unfortunately, that worked that way. Um, how do I say this without saying the wrong thing? They're kind of held hostage to some extent, and that might be too strong of a word, but when you sign up with a lot of these markets, you you kind of sign up for the whole year. If
Really?
you skip markets, guess what? You lose your spot, and it's like you get
Ooh.
punished. So
That
baby gets
stinks,
put
though.
in the corner.
Baby gets put in the corner if they're not at
Yeah,
every dang market. Yeah, that stinks on a
yeah.
vendor side of things because, like, I don't find that, like, every vendor, like, even the vendors that we shop with should be at every single market. I mean, that to me is a lots of money loss. I mean, am I speaking out of context there?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, I can't argue with you. It's a fact. There are too many markets. I think vendors need to decide what are the markets for them, but
Mhm.
it's not, it's so it's either all of Dallas all the time, or if you're okay with skipping some and getting moved around at the show, that I guess that's fine. Or you have to commit to all of Dallas because again, that floor gets redrawn every time because vendors
Mm.
come, vendors don't
Go.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that map gets redrawn and you just lose your spot. And we've just learned that uh, your placement at market plays a huge role in sales. You're going to tend to cover the ones you see first off the floor.
Oh,
And then,
100%.
you go in and you go deeper into the other booths.
Yeah.
And it depends what time of day it is. You not too tired? Are you going to keep going up and down the aisles? Are you going to make it all the way to the back? So
Right.
it position matters. So they are sort of obligated to attend all the markets in order to maintain their space because what they're really all fighting for is to get closer and closer to the front because that's
Sure.
where it counts the most. Now, I don't know the statistics of that. I'm sure there's data on that, but if markets, I was giving feedback for Magic just recently, and they always ask me for my feedback, and I'm always very honest. um, I felt that the I felt that the main room where you like walked into the main hall, central hall, had too many of the super large booths, like your Blue Pepper and your High Five and Pole and Fairy J. These are vendors who had the double booths that use both sides of the aisle, and they're overwhelming. It's a good hour and a half to get out of each of those booths, and
Sure.
that's kind of eats up 3/4 of your day. By the time
Yeah.
you take a break, go to the bathroom, eat lunch,
Right.
and we realized, like, we're gonna have to, like, move a little faster because we're never gonna get through this. Now, if they sprinkle those huge vendors, down there, up there, over there, and surround it
It
with
would
smaller
spread
vendors,
everything out.
we could cover so much more and then take a break from these huge booths. Like, I leave Blue Pepper for the last day of market, in Vegas because there's just no getting in there. There's just hordes of people. Everyone has just racks and racks of clothes, and I mean, I would need a major break and a nap after doing that booth if I did it during the
No
day
lie.
and anytime first or second day. So yeah, it's not as easy as just show up to the ones you think because you don't know which buyer is going to show up to which market. If they skipped the one they usually go to because they had a wedding, so now they're gonna go make up for it the next one, so that's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even realize that from where I sit, so that's kind of interesting,
Mhm.
but I do hate that for the vendors, though, because I do feel like every market is a lot to ask of a vendor, but that might be why
Oh,
they
it's
have so many
expensive.
repetitive styles because they know how many markets they have to attend, so how many different styles can you think of in a whole year?
And that's the thing, it's the same collections just in a different city.
Yeah.
So you gotta pick your poison. Are you going to Dallas because that's more geographically convenient? Do you now have to go to Atlanta because you miss Dallas for whatever reason? But yeah, keeping the excitement with a lot of these collections is really key right now. I mean, I guess I should let you speak on that. You're on the retail end. You have to feel excited about what you're buying in order to feel excited about selling it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that that's something that we struggle with. I will say, like, I do think it's like, I always say it's like this 3-year cycle. It's like it's fun and it's new and it's fresh. And then it becomes repetitive, 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 like over a 3-year cycle. And then all of a sudden it like seems new again. But every time you feel that and you leave the market and you're like, that was so fun because you started seeing different styles, different textures, different prints, different color palettes. It does make it so much more enjoyable where you get excited to go to the next market. So as a fast fashion retailer, we always want what's new, what's next, what's happening. As a strategist, like when you're thinking about the strategy of buying, you know that you want your top vendors that you're going to go see, your top performers that you want to have repeat success with, but you also want what's new and what's fresh and what's going to keep your customers excited to come into your store because it's the same thing. It's a chain effect. If we're not excited of what we're seeing at market, how can we expect our customers to be excited to what they're gonna see on our floor? So, I just encourage vendors that definitely stick with your best sellers because that is your bread and butter. That's what's drawing people into you. But then going
There's a
out
big
of your
but.
bo yeah, but going out of your box and making sure that you're giving variety to your customers like myself, like to your buyers,
And
so that
newness.
and new and freshness. And I know that that does take risk, but it is so important because that's what we're able to bring to our consumers as well. So, I know that for me, market is always about what's new. And if I'm not seeing anything new, I'm kind of lagging around like, I'm trying to find something new and exciting and it's not hitting me. Or that was a great market because I found so many great new looks, different ways to style things, just a little bit more forward. And sometimes I think we get a little bit stuck in what made us money and not really thinking about what's could
The
make
next
us
thing that's gonna
money.
make you money,
That's
correct.
right. Yeah, and I do
Yeah.
feel like, because we're in such fast fashion that it's hard to think that fast. I mean, even where we sit, I mean, how many different ways can we do this? How many different ways can we make an outfit look? And it is
Mhm.
fast and takes a lot of creation and creativity. So I do know that on the vendor side, to have all that product that you want to be able to sell through probably is a lot of pressure there.
So, going a little bit slightly off topic, how do you feel when you go into a booth and there's just a bajillion samples? Does that make you buy more, or does that
Mm-mm.
like, tell me the
No,
psychology for you behind how you feel when you walk into a booth like that
if there's a
versus
booth,
one that's a little bit smaller, a little bit
yeah,
easier to
more put
navigate.
together.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, it's kind of tricky. I can see this in different ways. There's a particular booth at market that we always make sure, but it literally pains me to walk in because there's so much. And I know it's going to take so much time, but it's a moneymaker for us. I will say they do a fantastic job with their mannequins. They have a ton of mannequins. That helps. That's kind of where I get started is going to each mannequin and seeing what they have and how they're styling it.
Mhm.
And then they are organized. So that does help. And they also have double samples, which that helps. So that is, some positive. Um, the pain points there is that it's so overwhelming that you either have issues with second guessing yourself or a bigger issue is the overbuying process of it. We tend to overbuy in situations like that because there's a little sense of FOMO and then there's another sense of it's so much, and you start building these collections. So it's just a lot. It seems to be kind of a lot. We make it work, but there are times we have to end up canceling styles because what seemed to be so great in that moment, didn't quite match the pocketbook when it came down to shipment. So for me, the ones that I have the most success in is whenever it's extremely organized. Like I said, mannequins are huge. But they're giving me the variety, a head to toe variety, where I'm able to buy a top, a dress, a bottom, and really build strong collections based off prints and color palettes and keeping it very quaint and easy for us to kind of maneuver through. I'm going to give a shout out to Fate. I think they do a fantastic job at this. I think that when you walk by their booth, it's presentable. It's right there on the corner. They have great mannequins. They have just enough in there where you're going to build a really fantastic collection, but it's not like so overpowering where I tend to have this like huge overbuying issue or second guessing issue. Like I can truly go into a Fate showroom and be like, yes, 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 no, 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 yes, 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 pull it all on the rack and go through and build a great collection. We just landed a Fate collection. It just went out the door to Baton Rouge, actually. And honestly, Sonia, the way that it was bought, and it wasn't bought by me, but the way it was bought at Dallas Market in January was perfect. It made a perfect story. It came in perfectly, meaning it covered all my departments. It was a perfect collection. So whenever I'm taking pictures of it and launching it, it makes sense. It's not all over the place. It has a story. And so I'm going to give props to that for Fate for this past market in January and how it landed. I was able to take it all at once because I didn't have this exceeding amount of overbuy or the pressure of so much being ready at one time. So that was like a
And
chef's kiss moment.
and they're
Doesn't
really
always
good
happen
with
like that.
they're really good with shipping.
Yeah, 100%.
So, moral of the story, stop designing for compliments and start designing for commitment. Just because a buyer says this is cute doesn't mean they're going to be buying it consistently and you're going to go make 10 different versions of it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want 10 different versions of it, to be honest with you. Like, on to the next. Like, what do you have next?
Mhm.
What's new? What's fresh? And Fate does a great job with that too. It's keeping things new and fresh.
Yeah, and compliments don't pay the production bills, orders do. So, pay attention to what gets reordered and what boutiques will stand behind and just listen to the buyer. And that's I think we touched on that a few episodes ago, how why it's important for buyers to physically show up at market and just not buy through fair. That the vendor needs that feedback. They need to hear what you think, what you feel. And
Yeah,
so
yep, I totally agree. And I say it all the
support
time.
the cause.
Yes. And I mean, you can love something and still not buy it, right? Like for me, it's about can I actually sell it? It's not that I don't like it. So sometimes, like a vendor can put something in front of your face and it's lovely, but I'm thinking about what six people am I selling this to? So, I think that's important too to kind of think through.
Yeah, and so to vendors, again, I'll reiterate, you gotta focus on what styles people are actually putting pen to paper or scan in this this day and age versus the compliments. "Oh, that's cute." You'll hear a lot of "That's cute," but are people actually buying that?
Yeah.
Or, "It's cute," but they've already bought it elsewhere. Or, "It's cute and it's at 10 other booths." I mean, there are styles just yesterday alone, I saw the same dress, 3 different places within a 1 block radius. That gets very underwhelming. That kind
Yeah.
of makes me feel like, oh, like, really? Like, how did all 3 of you end up with the same dress at the same time?
Exactly. And then, like, when you're speaking on the retail side of things and you're buying, we don't want to see everybody and everything that we have on when we're in town, in our little southern town. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, obviously, you're going to sell what's working and what you're making money on. Totally get that. But then try not to lose your identity as well, I think is so important.
Oh, we can go such a rabbit hole with that. And that's another one that I speak about with vendors is brand identity. Please stick to who you are.
Yep.
It makes selling so much easier. If you wonder why you're struggling, look at what you're making and see if you're just your sales are jumping around too much. Like there's no consistency. I want to know who I can rely on for what. And at the end of the day, the most successful buyers and brands aren't the ones trying to win everyone over. You're not going to be for everyone. That is okay. We need you not to be for everyone because that's what's going to create uniqueness. That's when it could create the boutique down the street not having the same thing.
Absolutely. And clarity is what sells, confusion is what kills.
Oh, I couldn't have said that better. So I'll just finish by saying that I think anytime you're chasing approval from buyers as a brand, I think you lose a little bit of your identity. It's like chipping away at your identity. I one thing that I get asked a lot is what I'm looking for. I don't want to be asked what I'm looking for. I want to see what you have, and I want you to sell me on what you have. So again, I would say is just stay true to who you are. And I hope to see, like you said, you gave a shout out to Fate. I think they've done a really good job of sticking to who they are. Their brand has been consistent for the years that we've been buying them. Oops, hit my mic. Um, and so, not that they haven't figured out either, but it's important, again, to be who you are for the buyer, not have the buyer be, y- what. Sorry, say that again. I had a good line. Hold on. Shit. It's important. So it's important for you to be who you are to the buyer. Don't worry about what the buyer wants from you. If they don't find it with you, they're going to go find it with the next guy. And that is okay because we need variety. We need differences.
Yes. So whether you're buying or building, just really be intentional, be selective, and stop trying to make everything work. Clarity is what sells, and confusion is what kills.
Oh, you've never been confused?
Every day, killing me
Uh,
softly.
no, that is true. I've had days where I feel like I'm going in circles
Mhm.
and I'm just like,
Do you
I
feel
just
paralyzed? Last week I felt paralyzed.
it just feels like, ugh, it's like, and then but for the most part, I'm excited. It's
Yeah.
just, it goes in cycles. I was going to say this earlier, but I always laugh when I'm at Magic and they're like, oh, so you're coming to the New York show? And I'm like next week, New York show? Yeah. I'm like,
No, no, no.
why?
I'm
Why?
here.
What? Are you going to have a whole new collection? They're like, no, just thought you were coming to the New York show. And it's like, I'm not going to go see the same thing somewhere else again.
Yes,
It's that
seriously.
simple. As much as I love you guys and love to hang out with you guys, not doing it.
I know markets are fun, but it's like you have to think about your time too, and your budgets. Like you can't afford to go to every single market as a buyer. You have to pick and choose the ones that it's going to be worth your time and that you can swift through. You know where everybody's at. You have relationships with the vendors. Um, we go to the same ones all the time. We don't really kinda go out of our way. We've tried Atlanta, we've been to New York, but, I mean, our relationships are all right there in Dallas for the most part. So, that's kinda what we stick to, and it works.
That's great. Did your mom go to market?
They did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a buying crew over there. It's just not me or Claire.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it. All right. Well, guys, thank you again for sticking around and lending us a little bit of your time. Hope we give you some good information to think about. And we'll see you next time.
Thank y'all for tuning in today. This is the Boutique Hustle Unzipped, and we cannot wait to see y'all next week. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels and our YouTube channel. We are also on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. We would love your follow. We really appreciate y'all tuning in and share with all your colleagues. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.